Hi Rhiannon, hi Kyle, hi Theodore. Kyle, a massive congratulations to you and Tina on the birth of Theodore. I hope you have a wonderful time getting to know each other and learning new experiences and the joys of father and motherhood. So congratulations to you both. And to Theodore, welcome to the world of games. When it comes to playing games with kids, there's no way I can do a better job talking about game series such as those put out by Habba than what Rhiannon already has done. So, as Rhiannon already mentioned in her video, the challenges that I had of raising gamer kids relate to language. Both my boys were raised with English as a second language, and that put limitations on some of the gamer games that we could play together. So, I thought that this week I'd talk about language-independent games. When I went to the Geek to draw up a list of language-independent games that I own, I didn't think there would be that many. Turns out, I was wrong. So, I'm going to select a few which highlight different styles of games. Of course, the first game I'm going to talk about isn't language independent at all, but is a storybook game that is great for kids. I've chosen it because the game is a cooperative game, and co-op games are a great way to teach kids how to work as a team, and it also illustrates how cooperative games work well with kids, as the adults can do the reading and explaining to the kids without taking away from the enjoyment of the game itself. And in this instance, the game is very child-friendly. Mice and Mystics is a 1 to 4 player cooperative adventure game by designer Jerry Hawthorne and published by Plaid Hat Games, where players take on the roles of anthropomorphic mice who set off on a quest to save the kingdom. Over a series of chapters which are bookended by a rich storyline, the players will need to work together to defeat the countless rats, spiders, roaches and other vile creatures in an effort to restore the kingdom to its former glory. The game is not only great for teaching youngsters how to work together as a team, but the story behind the game would also satiate even the most adventurous of bedtime reading needs. Another very good way of telling stories, but in a language-independent manner, is by using pictures, which allow the child to create stories from their imagination, in any language. There is no hard and fast set way to play Rory Story Cubes from Gamewright Games. What you get when you purchase a set of dice, or any of the independent additional dice packs, are 9 six-sided dice which house unique icons on each side. How you then play is up to you. In its most basic form, you roll the dice and tell the story based on the icons that you can see. There are no right and wrong answers, there are no winners and losers, just roll the dice and tell a tale. One thing we like to do is roll all the dice and then draft them one at a time. We have to then assign each of the 3 dice to the start, middle and end of that story we tell. When it comes to playing games, many adults have issues with children and some adults fidgeting at the gaming table. So why not break out some dexterity games? Most dexterity games are language independent. Ghost Blitz by Jacques Ziermet is an action dexterity game for 2 to 8 players from Zoc Verlag. In front of all players are a number of objects, each with a distinct colour: a white ghost, a green bottle, a grey mouse, a blue book and a red chair. One person will play cards from a deck which illustrate 2 objects, one of which is coloured correctly, and it's up to the players around the table to grab the object. However, in some instances, neither of the objects will be coloured correctly, in which case the players must grab the object not represented either by type or by colour. It's fast and furious fun and will have the most trigger-friendly of players itching to grab an item. Just be sure to have trimmed your nails first. Whilst we're talking about games that use pattern and colour recognition, Quirkle by designer Susan McKinley Ross and published by Mindware is a 2 to 4 player game that uses 108 small blocks, each illustrated with one of 6 shapes and one of 6 colours. Players start the game with 6 blocks and in turn add at least 1 block adjacent to at least one previously played block. Blocks must be played in a line and must match without duplicates, either the colour or the shape of the previous block. Players are awarded points for each block that creates a valid line, and if players complete a line containing all 6 shapes or colours, score an additional 6 points, or a Quirkle. The player with the highest score wins. The game is great for teaching pattern building and hand management, whilst also teaching about tile placement. One of the newest tile placement games on the market is, like Quirkle, a Mensa Select Award winner. In fact, it won the Mensa Select this year in 2015. Lanterns by Christopher Chung and published by Foxtrot Games and Renegade Game Studios is a 2 to 4 player set collection and tile laying game that requires no language skills. Each player has a hand of square tiles, the edge of which illustrates various colours. When you place a tile, all players receive a lantern card of the colour of the edge facing them. Clever tile placement will earn you bonuses whilst denying your opponents. Collecting sets of lanterns will earn you honour, and the player with the most honour at the end of the game is the winner. There are many games that use set collection, many of which tend to be language independent. Possibly the best known Gateway family game is one such game. Ticket to Ride by Alan R. Moon and published by Days of Wonder is a 2 to 5 player game in which players are trying to collect sets of coloured train cards in order to lay tracks between destinations on the board and gain points. At the start of a game, each player receives a number of train ticket cards which show the destinations they are trying to link together in order to gain bonus points. There are also a number of ways to gain bonus points, such as having the longest consecutive route. The game has been around since 2004, and a number of expansions featuring different maps and variations on rules such as tunnels, team play, 2-player, mandala and country to country are available. There can be a nastier side to playing Ticket to Ride, blocking off routes of your opponents, so maybe you'll want to teach the kids a little about Take That. Walk the Plank is a 3 to 5 player pirate themed game by Shane Steely and Jared Tinney from Mayday Games. Each player controls 3 of the worst members of the crew on a pirate ship, and the captain has had enough. He'll keep 2 of you, but in order to prove your worth, you must survive the plank. Each player starts the game with the same 10 action cards and selects 3 to program his actions for that round, revealing them one at a time. He might push someone one step closer to the murky depths, retract the plank, or even end up pulling his own mates into the water. As far as Take That goes, this is pretty light and fits thematically, so as an introduction to that type of game it works well. The cards use some great cartoony iconography by artist Mike Groves to illustrate what each action is, and so the game remains language independent. It's a lot of fun for pirates who are still a bit too young for Libertalia or Black Fleet. And of course, to hone their bluffing techniques and truly turn them into little monsters, how about a creepy crawly game of Cockroach Poker? Cockroach Poker marks the second appearance of designer Jacques Simet to my recommendations this week. With some wonderfully creepy art from Rolf Vogt, this 2 to 6 player game from Dry Magia Spiel encourages players to bluff and avoid collecting sets of light cards. The goal of this game is to not be the losing player by avoiding collecting a set of 4 of the same creatures in front of them. This is achieved by passing a card to the player on your left and declaring what it is. That player, without looking, must then decide either to accept what you say or call you out. If they accept what you say, they then look at the card and pass it on to the next player, declaring the card to be whatever they like. If they don't believe you, the card is revealed. If you told the truth, the card is placed face up in front of that player, adding 1 more creature of that type to that player's sets. If you lied, the card is placed face up in front of you, and you're 1 critter closer to losing the game. There is no one single winner in this game, instead only 1 loser, which makes a change to the regular singular winner. This leads me to my question for the week. When it comes to winning and losing games, I'm very much of the opinion that children need to learn to win and lose games graciously. And I won't throw a game just to avoid a child having a tantrum over losing, although I also come down on winner bragging. What do you do to encourage good sportsmanship, both in winning and losing games? Before I wrap up, I want to mention a series of games by Aiello. The Tales and Games series of games are all language independent and are great for younger gamers, and some work well as adult games too. There are currently 5 games in the series, all drawing theme from a different fable: 3 Little Pigs, Baba Yaga, The Hare and the Tortoise, The Grasshopper and the Ant, and Little Red Riding Hood. And all games play very differently, so please check them out. I could go on and on talking about some wonderful language independent games, illustrating all kinds of gaming mechanism. I hope the ones I have illustrated here have been of interest. The most important thing when it comes to playing games with your kids is that they're having fun. If they learn something educational along the way, hey, that's great. But at the end of the day, language independence in games can always be superseded. There is no better sound at the gaming table than the sound of your child's laughter. That's all for this week. Thanks. Bye.